Shalom and welcome to Challenging Torah, a project of the Malibu Jewish Center and Synagogue. In our story of Exodus, this week we reach the pinnacle, the peak, the moment of the birth of the Jewish people. This is the moment that the seas will split. And as in any birth is messy, is confused, has conflicting tensions and energies. You can't give birth by following directions in a book or by taking step 1, step 2, step 3. Once you are ready for that baby to go through the birth canal, anything can happen. And all you can do is push and cry out. And so, yes, this is a messy, messy birth. And the Jews cry out to God. And their cry is what opens the canal. Always this portion is seen, especially by feminist commentators, as birthing. But it is. The entire Exodus story up to this point has been a story of birth and women. It began with Shifra and Puah, the midwives who don't kill the baby boys, and the women are so easily give birth, quote unquote, and the Pharaoh was worried because they are multiplying. And there's this sense of fecundity in birth. And then we have the image of both the Red Sea, or the Sea of Reeds to be more exact, and that moment of the crossing and escaping between the Nile and the sea. The birthing process is led by women, and it's Bat Paro, who picks the baby up out of the basket. It's Miriam who saves the baby and brings the mother, and there is a nursing element. Moses grows, and it's all about the pains of the birthing of the Jewish people. And finally, God says, now, and as those contractions begin, they are pushed out of Egypt by Pharaoh's horsemen, and there's a total chaos and confusion. And they come to the edge of the sea. And this is the moment when you can't go forward, and you can't go back, and you are completely between a rock and a hard place, as we say. There is no exit. There is nowhere to go. And in those moments, all you can do is go through it. And you go through it in the moment of giving birth. Any woman will tell you, it's just faith that this is going to happen, because you don't really know what you're doing, even if you've done it many times. And so there they are. And I think here in Malibu we get a particular visual. Sometimes, unfortunately, there are fires. And I have been in the situation where the fire is in back of you, and the water, because we're right on the water here, the water is in front of you. And there's nowhere else to go. The sides are blocked. All you can do is trust. Nachshon is the one who takes the first step, it's said. He's one of the leaders of the tribes. You can't discuss this, you just have to move. As they stand there terrified, God, please help us. And they cry out to Moses. And Moses prays to God. And God says, Moses, you're talking to me? You have to do something. Pick up your rod. Hold out that staff. And the seas will split. But you need to take the action. And so he does. And the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry out to me? Speak to the people. Lift up your rod. And they go forward onto dry ground in the midst of the sea. Yevesha, the dry ground, b'toch hayam, in the middle of the sea. It's a miracle. Do we recognize the miracles when they're happening? In the moment of chaos, when it's all happening, while you're giving birth, you don't really think about miracles. All you can think about is one more push. The miracle happens. They sing. Because I think you can't really get words around before you've got a melody. They're exhausted. The women pick up their timbrels. They lead them in song. And then the next words out of their mouth are complaints. There's no food. They don't know where to go. What now? There's no direction. And they're locked in this little piece of wilderness, and they can see the Egyptians coming towards them still. Some are drowning in the sea, but some not yet. It's total chaos. And they cry out to Moses, was it for want of graves that we didn't die in Egypt? As the Jewish people, first thing we're going to do upon being born is we have a complaint. And God says, be careful. Behold, I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Again, I will push these Egyptians into the sea, and the Egyptians will know that I am God. And when I have gotten the honor of Pharaoh and his chariots and his horsemen, they will know. And the angel of God who went before the camp of Israel, we don't know where this angel comes from, suddenly there's an angel of God. The angel moves behind them in a pillar of cloud, goes before them, and the angel becomes or is in a pillar of fire. And the Lord went before them, it said, by day and by night to guide them. And Moses stretches his hand over the sea, and it continues to return. When the morning appeared, the Egyptians were on the shore. They're lost, they're confused, they're hungry. At the end of this Torah portion, this strange stuff falls from the heavens that, I don't know, I don't eat tofu. Do you eat tofu? Tofu? What am I going to do with this stuff? Called manna. Evil, which is always present. It is the serpent that both pushes them out a little bit, and Amalek, who is the embodiment of evil, follows behind them, cutting down those who are weak, those who don't have the strength to go on. That's evil in the Jewish world. And we leave them at the end of this portion, exhausted in the desert, headed toward the Epiphany at Sinai, but really not knowing quite what life has in store. That's our story. Shabbat Shalom.